Hey everyone, Jason here, and I'm back with another Nanocoaster video. Today we're going to be doing Flight Deck from California's Great America. This is a B&M invert. In fact, I believe it was like the second B&M invert ever built after the Batman at Six Flags Great America, or at least the second layout. I don't know. Didn't look that close into it. But like I said, this is at California's Great America, a park that probably or definitely isn't too long for this world. They've already announced that it's going to be closing sometime in the near future. So I wanted to get a few more models from the park. I already have Railblazer. You just saw the video for Gold Striker, and then Flight Deck is the third one that I have for the park. Really fun ride, unique layout, has a really cool helix down over the lake. I believe it was called Top Gun when it first opened at Paramount's Great America, but it's called Flight Deck now. But really cool ride, so let's jump right in. So inside the box we have the base plate. This is what we're going to be assembling the coaster on. Fairly large base plate, one of the wider, more sprawling models I've seen. A lot of blank space here. We also have our track sheet, so one sheet of track pieces. Tip sheet telling us how to cut stuff out, we'll put that off to the side. And then a single-sided instruction sheet, nothing on the back. And so this will help us assemble it all. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to peel away the paper backing on the base plate. Each of the models has some kind of backing on it. This is actually the third model I filmed today, and all three have had a different cover. One had white plastic, one had blue plastic, and now this one has the brown paper. This one actually looks the nicest, and so a lot of people actually forget to take this one off. And if you like the look of it, I mean, there's no reason. I guess you couldn't just leave it on there. You could also use this to, paint on if you wanted to do something like that to decorate it. But I'm going to peel it off, so if you want to do this and have a clean black base plate, you want to make sure you peel it off. On the top you have the entire track layout etched in, so this is going to peel off in multiple pieces. You just want to kind of put your finger underneath the corner and then we'll just peel it away. On the bottom we should be able to peel it away mostly in one piece, most likely, just because the track layout's not etched in there. Sometimes it tears just because there is some weak points in it. But I'm going to peel this away really quick and then we'll resume at that point. So there we have the base plate completely revealed, showing the clean glossy black plastic. We'll set that off to the side and move on to cutting out the track pieces. So for cutting out the track pieces, the tip sheet says to use a pair of nail clippers. I like to use flush edge wire cutters. These are just some I got on Amazon. Any will probably do. Eventually they do get dull, so if you're doing a lot of nano coasters, you'll have to replace them. I buy these 2 packs on Amazon. I'll have a link to it down below. I don't know if they're the best ones, but they've worked well for me. But for this, around each of the track pieces, you'll see these little tabs. And you'll just take the wire cutters and go around and very quickly just cut them off. If you have a good pair, it shouldn't take much effort at all. If they're a little bit dull, you're going to have to sit there and fight it a little bit. So it is nice to have a good clean pair. Once they wear out, it's nice. It's worth just buying a new pair. But I'm going to quickly go around each of these track pieces, cut them out, and then we'll resume at that point. So we have all the track pieces now cut out. Base plate's ready to go. We can start assembly. So one of the first things I like to do is to add a logo to the base plate. There is a logo sign here, little Flight Deck sign. But there's a lot of empty space on here. I like to add a larger logo just so from a distance you can kind of see what it is. So I've cut out this Flight Deck logo from a metallic vinyl here on a Cricut. If that's something you want to do, or if you want to use the logo for something else, I have the SVG down below. You can use that. But I'm going to peel away this backing here and then just apply this to the base plate, and then we'll start installing track. So there we have the large logo on the base plate. We can begin with track installation. So the first piece of track we're going to install is actually going to be the lift hill, first drop, and then into the vertical loop. So with this, there's actually 2 angled supports, so you can see these here. I'm actually going to bend those in towards me. You can use needle nose pliers, tweezers, whatever. They don't bend super easily, so you just want to be kind of careful when you do it. I'm going to grab these tweezers here and just kind of twist in with it. Get a 90-degree bend on each of these 2 bends. So that it kind of looks like that. I don't know if you can really see that on the camera, but that gives us a little bit of a start. There's also going to be a turn here at the top of the lift hill that we'll probably want to pre-bend a little bit maybe. I don't know, we'll look at this as we do it. So for this, I'm actually going to start down here right before the turnaround here. There's just 2 empty two small slots. We're going to use the inner one here for the bottom of the vertical loop. And then that's going to line up the second one underneath the vertical loop that's a little bit wider. And then just at the top of this turnaround, we'll just kind of bend it to follow the track layout. And then we have a really large slot here down at the base of the lift hill, and then a small one as we turn back into the station area. So we'll press all of these down into place. And then once it's there, we'll come underneath and bend over these tabs to hold them into place. Sometimes with models you have to make sure that you're not bending over and covering up other holes. I don't know that that's really going to be much of an issue with this model, mostly because it is a fairly sprawling layout here. There's not a lot of tight track pieces where they're overlapping each other, and so you really probably don't have to be as careful. In fact, I don't see any place on this one that's going to be a problem. Once we have this piece in place, we're going to come back on top and kind of shape it. Now with these bends, it actually kind of creates a little bit of a dilemma or issue, I guess. Typically I like to use something like a D-cell battery here to come in and shape it, but because the bends are angled in, I can't really put the battery there, and so I'm just going to kind of go around and shape this one with my fingers. Make sure it looks pretty good. I don't want any sharp kinks or anything like that. But that's going to finish track piece number 1. So step 2 is not going to actually be a track piece. It's going to be the supports for the lift hill. You'll notice with the lift hill there's a pretty large gap. These inverts have these supports that go up over the track. So in this there's a little slit cut, and so this is going to allow us to put this over the track. And so I'm going to put this just with the track down. We're going to use the tall one first. These are not the same size. This one's higher up the lift hill, and so right here there's actually a little groove in the track cut into it that this is going to line up with. So I'm going to, with this cut, I'm going to go around that way, and then down underneath you'll want to line up the 2 tabs, and then we'll simply press this down, and there's a groove in the top of this support as well as one in the track. We'll want to line those 2 up. Hopefully we can get them to click a little bit. And then we'll bend over the tabs underneath to hold that into place. I think it's on there pretty good. Didn't oh yeah, there we go. I think we got it to lock into place now. So yeah, that one's not moving there. And so then we can do the same thing with this second one. So just a little bit further down, slide that groove over it. Then we'll line up these tabs down on the base plate, and then line up the grooves up on top to hold it into place. Bend over the tabs underneath. And so now we have those tall supports holding that track piece into place, completing step number 2. So step number 3 is going to be using this piece right here, and this is going to continue off of the bottom of the vertical loop into a turnaround. And so for this one I'm actually going to do a little bit of pre-bending. The socket I have is a little bit larger than the turnaround, but I can kind of just put it here on the base plate to kind of see where I need to bend it. And then I'm going to bend the track piece all the way around it. This is basically going to create like a teardrop turnaround here. So that's going to create, our pre-bent piece here that we can now go on here at the bottom of the loop. I'm actually going to start with this medium tab, this little bit larger tab right after the loop, and see if we can get that lined up, and then do the 3 inside of the turnaround. And like I said, you'll have to do a little bit of additional bending just because the socket isn't quite the right size. It's bigger than the turnaround's bigger than like any standard battery size, but a little bit smaller than the socket I have here. But we'll line these up into place, doing this medium tab here, pressing it back in, and then just continue following the track layout etched into the base plate. That's what's nice here, is you got the whole track layout etched into the base plate. So you can kind of just follow that and use that to give you your shaping. Once we have that in place, we'll bend over these tabs to hold it. And then we'll also want to make sure we have our shaping right, especially here where the 2 pieces connect. Right now they kind of create almost like a 45-degree angle with each other. So I'm going to bend both of them so that they look like they connect properly, Make sure our curves all look right. And that is going to complete step number 3. So step number 4 is going to be this piece here, and it's going to continue just off of where we left off there. So this one's going to start with a medium tab. Interestingly, it looks like this medium tab is actually kind of curved. I've never seen a curved tab, so you have to bend it a little bit there. But then once again, we'll just kind of follow the track layout on this one. There are a couple turns, but they're not super harsh on this piece. And so like I said, we can just follow the track layout, line up each of the tabs and drop them into place. And then here at the end, there's a long tab that's going to finish the piece off. Went in pretty easily. Bend over those tabs. And then make sure it all looks good from above. Make sure it's really following the track layout. And that's going to complete step number 4. So step number 5 is going to continue off of where we just left off, and this is actually going to go into the helix over the lake. So this piece is actually going to have quite a bit of bending on it. For this, I'm going to do a little bit of pre-bending. So here at the start, so where we have this little hill, I'm actually going to just put my little socket piece here and just bend it around that way and kind of line up with the base plate here. And then right after the second support, it's actually going to bend the other direction. So that's going to kind of give us the shaping we have here on the base plate. And then inside of the helix, we also have a little bit, or quite a bit more turning actually. So I'm going to kind of wrap this around once again and just kind of give a little bit of a pre-bend there. It's not exactly the shape, but it makes it a little bit easier once we have it here on the base plate. So now we can start with this first tab coming off the piece we just finished, and just go around lining up each of these tabs, following the track layout on the base plate all the way into the turnaround, or helix I guess it is, down over the lake here. So we'll press all these down, bend the tabs into place, and then once again we'll come up above, take the socket piece and just kind of shape our curves exactly how we want them, so that we have nice shaping around them. And that's going to complete step number 5. So step number 6 is going to be the final piece here of track. There's only one bend in it down here at this end. So we'll actually just continue off of the bottom of the lift hill here. There's kind of a long straight segment with 2 larger tabs. So we'll start with those 2 first, and I'm actually going to bend over those tabs before we do the turn. And then up above, just once again follow the base plate. There's 2 smaller tabs that have to drop into place. Bend over the tabs. Make sure that this corner is rounded just how we want it. The socket head is really nice for that. And that is going to complete the track layout. So step number 6. So the final step here is going to be to do the station and the sign. The station on 99% of these Nano coasters is just these little house structures that we cut out. So we're going to just bend this into a house. Right here where the station is, there's 2 slots, one on each side of the track, that we can drop these down into. So we'll line that up, drop them in, and then bend over the tabs. And then the last piece here is the sign, which goes right in front of the station. We'll drop that down into the last slot, bend over the tab, and then bend the sign back just a little bit, just angled out. And that's going to complete the flight deck kit from California's Great America. Now if you've seen my other models, you know something else I like to add is a little felt bottom. So this is a piece of adhesive felt from Amazon. I have a link down below. This is a fairly large model, but it does fit on it. Sometimes you can fit multiple Nano coasters, and I may be able to get another one out of this later. But what I like to do is I like to find the straightest edge, the longest straight edge on the Nano coaster, and line it up with the felt. And then we will take a pencil and just trace around this. Once I have that, I can take my scissors and I can cut just inside of the felt. You can cut it exactly the right size. I like to cut just inside because the felt does stretch. And so this helps us so that we don't have overhang. You can trim overhang off afterwards, but it's a little bit tricky sometimes. So the goal with this is just, like I said, to cover up all the tabs on the bottom, hold them into place, and also just to give it a smooth bottom so that if this is sliding around once you're displaying it, it's not scratching up whatever surface you're on. So I'm just going to go around and cut this out really quick, and then we'll apply it. So now that we have this cut out, and I'm actually going to remove about half of the paper backing to help line this up. So I'm just going to start peeling at this one end. Well, like I said, we'll remove about half of it here and tear off the paper. And now we can just kind of hover the coaster model over it, starting at the end where the paper backing still is, and just kind of press down and make sure that it's a nice fit. Now we can peel away the rest of the paper backing. And I like to use the edge of the table and then my hands to just help guide it. But this kind of helps apply it smoothly. Like I said, it does stretch a little bit, so you don't really want it to do that. So we'll just kind of use, like I said, use the edge of the table. And so there we now have a felt bottom. Feels really nice. All those tabs are permanently in place. And so that is going to complete Flight Deck completely. This is a kit available from California's Great America, $34.99, eligible for a season pass discount, which is really nice. Also available online. If you haven't had a chance to get out to California's Great America, I highly recommend it. Soonish, preferably, since the park's not going to be there much longer. But yeah, really cool model here. One of the original B&M inverts that will probably not be around much longer. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If it helped you, if you liked it, make sure you hit the thumbs up button down below. If you want to see more videos like this, nano coasters, coaster cutouts, really anything else I want to post, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching and have a great day.